He was just a poor boy selling fruits on the street, ignored by everyone. Cars rushed by, people looked at him with pity, but deep inside he carried one secret weapon: confidence. While the world passed him by, he kept dreaming. Every night he stared at the tall buildings, whispering to himself, "One day, I'll be there." Not as a servant, but as an owner. His name was Daniel Carter, 17 years old, living on the tough streets of New York. His father had passed away early, his mother worked 2 cleaning jobs just to keep food on the table, and Daniel knew that life had given him nothing for free. Every morning, he would wake up before the sun, drag a small cart filled with apples, oranges, and bananas, and position himself near a busy corner where wealthy professionals in suits hurried to their offices. Some people bought fruit without looking him in the eye, tossing coins into his hand. Others pretended he didn't even exist. But Daniel never let it break him. He would smile, stand tall, and whisper in his heart, "This is not my final chapter." One rainy morning, as cold winds whipped through the city, Daniel's shoes were soaked, his clothes clung to his skin, yet he kept selling. A group of high school kids walked by, laughing at him, mocking the way he shouted, "Fresh fruit, $1 each." One boy sneered, "You'll be here forever, man. Selling bananas till you die." The word stung, but Daniel's eyes didn't flinch. He kept telling himself that confidence was stronger than insult. When the rain slowed, he leaned against his cart and stared at the skyscrapers that pierced the clouds above. Those towers were not just buildings to him, they were promises. He imagined himself at the top, in a glass office, making decisions, not begging for coins. That vision became his secret fuel. Days turned into weeks. Daniel used every spare moment to learn. He borrowed old books from the public library, books about business, entrepreneurship, and self-improvement. At night, after long days on the street, he would sit by a small lamp in his cramped apartment, scribbling notes in a worn-out notebook. He didn't understand everything at first, the numbers, the terms, the strategies, but he kept going. "Confidence means I can learn anything," he whispered as his tired eyes scanned each page. His mother often told him, "Daniel, you need rest. You're just a fruit seller. Don't push yourself too hard." But Daniel would only smile and say, "Mom, I'm not just selling fruit. I'm training myself for my future." She would shake her head, not fully believing him, but deep inside, she admired his fire. One evening, while pushing his empty cart back home, Daniel overheard 2 businessmen talking outside a cafe. They were discussing investments, profits, and ideas that sounded like another world to him. But he stopped, pretending to tie his shoe, just to listen. He caught words like market strategy, expansion, and client trust. Though he barely understood, his heart raced. These conversations were pieces of the puzzle he wanted to solve. That night, he wrote down everything he could remember. "One day, I won't just be listening. I'll be speaking the language of success myself," he promised. Months passed. His earnings from fruit sales were small, but Daniel was disciplined. He saved every single dollar he could, cutting back on food, skipping any luxury, determined to build a seed fund for something greater. Sarah Miller, a kind-hearted college student who passed by his cart daily, noticed his persistence. Unlike others, she always greeted him with respect, sometimes even buying fruit she didn't need just to encourage him. One day she asked, "Daniel, why do you look at those tall buildings every night?" He answered with quiet conviction, "Because one day, I'll be in one. I won't be the boy outside, I'll be the man inside." Sarah was stunned. There was no arrogance in his voice, only pure belief. She smiled and said, "Then keep going. Because I think you will." That simple encouragement became another spark that pushed Daniel forward. But the journey was never smooth. The streets were harsh. Some nights, gangs tried to steal his earnings. Other days, police chased away vendors, calling them a nuisance. Daniel endured hunger, cold, and fear. Still, every trial only carved his spirit deeper. Confidence, he reminded himself, is not about ignoring struggle. It's about walking through it without breaking. As winter rolled in, work grew harder. Customers were fewer, winds cut through his thin jacket, and his hands froze on the metal of his cart. Yet Daniel never stopped. He often repeated a mantra under his breath: one day, these hands won't push fruit. They'll build empires. Those words became his shield against despair. By the end of the year, Daniel had saved a modest sum, just a few $100s. It wasn't much, but to him, it was proof. Proof that discipline worked. Proof that his dreams weren't just whispers in the night. On New Year's Eve, while fireworks lit up the sky, Daniel stood on the sidewalk, gazing at the glittering skyline. He closed his eyes and whispered the same words he had since he was a child: one day, I'll be there. Not as a servant, but as an owner. And though the world still saw just a poor fruit seller, Daniel knew the truth: he was already walking a path most people never dared to walk. He had the one weapon that could not be taken away: confidence. But as the new year began, Daniel faced his toughest test yet. The fruit business grew worse in the freezing cold, and his savings started slipping away. His mother's health was failing, medical bills piled up, and there were nights when the refrigerator was almost empty. The dream of skyscrapers felt further than ever. One bitter morning, Daniel sat by his cart, shivering, when a man in a dark coat stopped. His name was Richard Cole, a wealthy investor, sharp and cold, known in New York for dismissing small dreamers. He looked at Daniel's cart and smirked: selling fruit in this weather? You're wasting your life, boy. People like you don't become owners. You're stuck here forever. The words hit Daniel like knives, echoing the same cruelty he had heard all his life. For a second, he felt small again. But then, deep inside, a voice rose: confidence isn't about their belief, it's about mine. Daniel lifted his chin and said quietly, maybe today I'm selling fruit. But tomorrow, I'll be selling ideas. Cole chuckled, shook his head, and walked away. To him, Daniel was just another nobody. But to Daniel, that rejection became fire. That night, instead of despair, he worked harder than ever. He began sketching his first business plan in that worn-out notebook, using everything he had learned from books, cafes, and scraps of knowledge. His handwriting was shaky, his numbers weren't perfect, but the vision was there: a small online marketplace where freelancers and small business owners could connect, trade skills, and grow together. Why should opportunities belong only to the rich, he thought. Everyone deserves a chance. It was raw, imperfect, but it was the beginning of something that could change his life. Sarah noticed his new energy. Daniel, you're not sleeping. What are you building? He showed her the notebook, pages filled with messy sketches, arrows, and words like growth, community, trust. She stared at him in awe. This isn't just fruit anymore, she whispered. This is your future. Daniel smiled, exhausted but burning with belief. This is step one. The next months were brutal. He balanced fruit sales by day and learning computer basics at night in the public library. He begged librarians to let him stay longer, watched free tutorials, and typed until his fingers cramped. People mocked him more than ever: "Fruit boy thinks he's a CEO now." But he didn't stop. Every insult became energy. Every doubt became fuel. Confidence carried him through hunger, through exhaustion, through fear. By summer, Daniel had built a crude version of his idea on an old borrowed laptop. It was clunky, slow, barely working, but to him it was alive. His dream had taken its first breath. Standing in his tiny room, staring at the screen, Daniel whispered, "This is just the beginning. They'll see."